there are a number of things that are gonna pop up to you. And you can see all the way down to the individual homes, this thing will keep exploding. We have a legend and different layers that will cover, and I'll let you take over, Philip, for what it covers, and I'll explain what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Bob. My name is Philip. I'm the GIS manager at Passerelle & Associates. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
So basically, what you see here is a layer list of everything that we've done up to date for Pelican Preserve Ponds Group. We have a number of different layers, but obviously what we're highlighting is the ponds. What you see here in blue is just all the different types of ponds. If you click on the ponds, there's different attributes associated with each pond. You have a pond number, you have an old pond number, and you have different attributes, whether this pond is available for fishing, if there's carp, if there's aerators, and then there's there's individual hyperlinks, bathymetry for the full set or for the individual pond. So we took this layer system and we broke it down to these 5 layers here. So for example, we created a separate layer for fishing. So here in Pelican, everything in green is fishing. Everything in red it's not, and then we don't have any information to the east side over here that's in gray.
Okay, just without belaboring this, all the green ponds are ponds that we have agreed mutually with WCI, and we have specific areas within those ponds where you can fish. The amber shaded ponds were, at the point in time this was made, we're still under the control of the developer, so we haven't done it. We have progressed from then to now, and we are now establishing fishing areas in there. We put carp in some of the ponds, we put game fish in others, depending on what the residents want, and we work through the Pelican Fishing Club to do that.
So these are the sub-layers that we're discussing. We have a carp ponds layer, so everything in green has carp, everything in red doesn't. The items in yellow have fish gates. Then we have another layer that highlights where there are aeration systems. The items in green have those, the items in red don't. And moving forward, we have another layer that highlights what's being maintained by Gateway, CDD, who's responsible for, the developer is responsible for the areas in orange, and we have the stuff towards the east where we're still.
And this, of course, is all changing. This was at a set point in time.
Exactly.
Just as a side note, this was kind of what I envisioned when we started the GIS project for.
Exactly what we were supposed to have.
And
It fizzled.
it's not anything close to this.
Point, for clarification going on, would you scroll to the north? Clear to Colonial. Was there any particular reason that the red line does not include the property on the west side, which we know is part of the Pelican Reserve DRI? Is there any reason you left that
Our
out?
focus as residents, in this feedback and this particular concern, had to do with those areas that were contiguous to Pelican Reserve. As differentiated a little bit from what the district has, and Chris and I have had discussions about that.
But in
There's a
reality,
pond on the
that
west
line
side.
goes across.
I'm sorry?
In reality, the line goes across.
Well, property owned by WCI went across. And by that I mean, the west side of Tree Line Boulevard is eventually gonna be developed commercially with multi-resident, whatever. But it's my understanding that those people in that property will not have the rights to participate in things in Pelican, like our town center and golf and things like that. So we keep that separate from our resident point of view, although it is a district responsibility.
Let's ask it this way. If we have, Billy Bob builds something, well, something's already there. We're billing that whole shopping center, what do you call that?
We refer to it as Goodwill.
What is that? What is that grocery store that's in there? that's-
Winn-Dixie.
Winn-Dixie. They're in the 002 account.
And we
As far as what is
maintain,
it?
the district maintains the channel behind Tree Line over to the pond.
Right, what I was trying to get to is that area for the purposes of the CDD, that is in the CDD.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And Bob, how long did it take you to get here?
Probably about 15 months, maybe not quite that long, is that?
Yep.
That's about
And
right.
did you do it in iterations, and that's
Oh,
why?
yeah, this is an
that's why it took-
evolutionary process.
Yeah.
Well, you're putting a lot of stuff in there.
We
that
are
you've
putting in
had the
far more
ability-
than anyone would
All
probably.
your costs associated with pond work and all that.
All of our pipes are gonna be in here, whether it's a 15-inch pipe, a 12-inch pipe, if you can jump to one of
Yeah,
those.
but-
You're talking about stormwater pipes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
can jump to that if you don't mind. So we have a little, just a little demonstration.
What's your acreage? Total acreage?
I have no idea.
Just trying to figure out what,
2,500, huh?
20? 25.
So this is
Maybe
just a-
3-to-1 to the rest of Gateway. Ballpark.
Nine.
What's it gonna cost for Gateway to get this same level of effort?
Oh, you can get a deal now, they did all the work.
Yeah.
But look at this one. This one is the downspout initiative, which we're gonna talk about a little bit later, but this is a typical street within the community and where we put the downspouts in, and there won't be any behind homes on the golf course or preserve areas, but this shows you what we've got. It is also good for the resident HOAs because they're gonna have to clean these things every year. They've all agreed that they will do that. We're gonna put in a facility, and then the individual HOAs will be maintaining.
Sub-HOAs. Sub-HOAs.
Right, the communities themselves.
This is really nice, Bob, this is.
We really
This is
work.
what this is what I envisioned we were gonna end up with on our side, and it wasn't even something that could be updated, from my understanding.
Flat.
It was-
Yeah, so we want this to be a living document.
Yeah.
It is our intent, and I think currently it is available, but we're not really doing it. But our residents can click on this through our Residents Alliance and look at whatever they want to look at. But all of our piping is on here, the types of aeration, the cabinets, all the sizings. We will eventually have documents that they can hyperlink to, for lack of a better word. They can look at every budget we've ever submitted from 2010 forward. And in those budgets, we tell them exactly what we spent all our money for. So anybody can look at anything. The only reservation we have here is that we go out for competitive bids, and unfortunately, a lot of that document's out there too. But as Chris pointed out to me, this is kind of public knowledge, so, but we want the resident to be as familiar with what's going on as we are. And the other part of it is, some of us are gonna die, it's an old community, and we want people to be able to continue in our path afterwards.
Can you set, and document your maintenance? So you're doing your maintenance routines, tying it to this?
That's all in there too.
Okay.
What's the offset lines shadowing the buildings?
Those are just, those are property lines, so they just need to be adjusted, but.
That's what it is, just
Yeah.
an adjustment?
Yeah,
Okay.
but we've been talking about drainage for, that's been a big highlight today. And I just wanted to point out that this is just a small example of Pelican, but this is a smart map, so you can highlight and click that this is a 15-inch concrete pipe, and every color is different. This is a 24-inch, the blue one over here is a 12-inch advanced drainage system. So this is what we're gonna
It's
do
starting
for the
drooling
entire.
already.
And this can be even subcategorized as what we want in phases, so we know that this phase has been completed throughout Gateway. We can color code that as well.
So what'd you do, scan as-built?
Yes, it's a work in progress because there's so many consultants involved, and we have to try to get everybody on the same page.
Our base database was Marsh Riley, when first, scanned our community. As we've been moving forward with the things we're taking care of off of Cypress Grove Boulevards, we've been using the drawings that WCI has presented. Because we didn't have any as-built, remember, we started this, we didn't have anything. We put dye in the water to see where it was going.
So Bob, or is it Philip?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you layer on the complexity, as far as like, with the ponds work and then drainage and all the different things? Did you do that, because of information availability?
Helter skelter.
Okay.
We started out, we wanted to see what the community looked like. And then we would have meetings with David, and we'd say, we'd really like to see our pipes. Well, I could do that. We'd really like to see the dimensions and the lengths of the pipes. Well, I can do that.
So now, because
Everything
you've
has
gone
been
through Helter
evolutionary.
Skelter, we can say
Yes.
duplicate.
We didn't have a master when we did it. We did not.
We appreciate you, being
This
tested.
is evolved. Well, we didn't know what we wanted, really.
Yeah.
In our first meetings, we didn't know what we wanted.
Yeah, your utilities, water, sewer, and irrigation are with City of Fort Myers.
Some.
Whereas- Some. The part that's on our side this would be very handy to superimpose on layers our water, sewer, and irrigation.
And we're going to take your data and, you know, for those parts of Pelican that are part of the gateway system, that will all be reflected in here. So the people that are looking at it from Pareto, for instance, can see exactly, they'll have the same system we do.
And I think this is something that we should consider for
This is-
future projects. 'Cause
absolutely.
This would be so beneficial to staff and the residents. Thank you for showing us
Yeah,
that.
now, we've only spent to date it's a lot of money, $10,000 over the last 15 months. But we have provided all the data to them. We haven't said, go do it. So
For
the
example,
legwork.
what did you provide?
We're providing everything that's on here. The maps, the piping diagrams, where aeration is, you know, all of the various components.
So
of
if they give you a drawing, you physically write on it, they take it
Well,
back?
the other way around, we give them a drawing and say, this is what we have, we want this to reflect.
But I mean, they gave you the base map on which to write this
Yes,
stuff?
yes.
So-
And we got that from you guys. You guys had the GIS maps, and that's why we went with them.
So 10K got you here,
Yes.
okay, with some additional sweat equity on your side.
Well, we got another year, we just approved 12,000 for the next layers, because as you can see, most of this is kind of out of date. We've done a lot in the last 15 months.
50 grand.
So,
Well worth.
50 million.
anyway, I just
Thank
wanted,
you.
Okay.
you
Thank
you authorize all
Thank
this
you,
money,
Bob.
you ought to see what you're getting. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
And David.
Quick,
You're,
short
So,
question.
Bob, let me ask you, when I go to Lee County GIS website, it's updated once a year. In June, in June, they'll update and say, okay, this is as of December 31st, 2018. How frequently do you get your GIS updated?
we do that yearly. David does that for us.
Yearly?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just got the 2018 one, which has all the homes and stuff on
Okay,
it. But their data will be updated more frequently as we have changes.
thank you.
Bob, you want to talk about the downspout initiative?
Yes, I'd love to. Rather than stop walking, I'm assuming.
That's all right.
We have a number of downspout cost proposals that are before you today. I don't remember exactly how many are in there. It's a lot of money. And I just want to make sure that we were available for any questions. Now, the most basic question is, I know I covered this a couple times, but I'll refresh you. Why are we doing this? The reason that we got into the downspout initiative is because we were spending between $100,000 and $150,000 a year fixing pond banks with washouts, erosion, etc. We've done a number of things to help ourselves on that, littorals and the downspout initiative from the engineering perspective told us that was the best thing we could do to stop washouts. WCI had installed the standard 3-inch black corrugated piping, which collapses after about a year and fills up even sooner. So we replaced all of that with a double-walled system on the recommendation of Tetra Tech and the other communities that we visited to look at this, and we go everywhere to look at things before we do it. And then we decided we need the bubble-up boxes again to help get rid of the water. And the famous bubble-up boxes in Pareto and Pistola that we just reached agreement with Lennar to start putting in. We did that to keep the areas between the homes from being real wet and also to stop Zika. When you accumulated water, a couple of years ago, that was a really big concern, and that got us on that track. So now we're gonna talk about the downspouts. As I'm before you today, you have authorized us to spend $930,437. That's how much we've actually spent. Some of that is going to be in what you're approving today, because that's all old Pelican. And we've used a couple of different opportunities from a cost point of view to fund this account. The next part of it was when we refinanced bonds and things like that, we gained the windfall and PPAC put it into bonds. The one part that you have in front of you today is $220,000 for the very first community in the Cypress Grove area, and that is Solaro. And although it's a lot of money, there's a lot of homes on there.
Tony, is this something that, I mean, we've got one bid here, what is our threshold?
Yeah, no,
Do you have
Chris had
to
raised
go-
the issue a while back, and I think we discussed this
Yes.
about a year and a half ago, that Tetra Tech was comfortable, I believe at the time.
Yes.
That
And-
each one of them could be indicated as being a discrete
They're individual
project.
contracts, and they're always with the HOAs.
Individual projects,
Okay.
individual contracts, not for the purpose of evading any competitive solicitation requirements.
I just wanted to.
Yes, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, and for the record, I would like to tell you that we tried Marsh Riley, they collapsed and walked away from it. We tried aquagenics, they walked away from it. We tried extreme divers, and they don't walk away from much, but they walked away from this one. And one other company. Well, we've had four contractors. We've had four contractors that had contracts in hand, started on projects. The most any of them got was about 5 houses.
What was the problem?
It's too damn hard. It's very difficult work. They couldn't get their workers to do it. The Copeland Southern Enterprise is a family business, and these boys show up every day to work, and I mean, they work.
The letter that's on the screen right now shows 353, 825, that appears to be the sum of all those down below. So that's you say $250,000, I think it's 353, isn't it?
I think you mentioned Solero was 200 and change, I think.
Just Solero.
Solero is 220,000.
But again, for the record.
And there's four components to that.
But no, each one of them are separate projects.
That's right, there's four different components of a total of 220.
And this is being paid for from
O2,
O2 account.
yep, our O2 account.
So it's in your O2 budget.
Yes, we have $100,000 a year in there, and I told Phil tonight, I'm starting to get worried, I'm getting close to my spending limits, and we'll have to slow it down. But we knew that was coming.
So are we approving Bellagio, Sienna, and?
Yeah, we've already got the money for that. That is, we just need you to approve it, but that's been budgeted, and we have the money without an issue.
We're approving this letter.
Yeah. Now,
Those individual projects. and expenditures.
in surveying our community, there's no two communities that are built the same. No two communities have identical downspouts and gutters and/or in the ground. There's a myriad of variations. So we went neighborhood by neighborhood and wrote down and surveyed exactly what was there. And then when we knew what we needed, then we went to the neighborhood like Portofino, where they didn't have downspouts everywhere, and we asked them in a community group, if we're willing to spend this money, are you willing to put up downspouts?
So
And in
you're
most-
just looking for approval on this?
Yes, I'd like you to go back.
Bob, you indicated that Pasoya and Prado are going to where we don't have to go back. How many of your sub-communities,
Yes and no.
how many of your communities that are the older communities have yet to be done?
With the approvals that you have in front of you today, all of Old Pelican is done.
That's what
It's physically not done, but the money's there, the contracts are got, and we're ready to go. And then also in the money is the first community in the new neighborhoods, and that's Solero. And in the Solero community, I don't remember, I think it was 30 homes did not have downspouts and gutters, and I'm happy to tell you, every single one of them put in downspouts and gutters so that they can be part of this and do it. And if we go to a neighborhood like Carina, for instance, and they say, no, it's too much money, we thank you very much, and we go to the next community until we get everybody done.
Motion to approve.
I second.
I have a motion to approve Bob's request and a second. Do you have any questions?
I've got one question.
Go right ahead.
Bob, as you dig up the yards to put the downspouts and.
The bubblers and all, yeah.
Under, and you put them down to the pond.
Correct.
And then close up what you open up. Is there, are these things fragile? Can you be immediately walked on,
Oh,
mowed
absolutely.
on? and everything?
Absolutely. It is a double wall pipe, it's good.
Okay, and what's the ownership of the property after you put it in?
Nothing, it's all private residences. We are doing this on private residential property for the benefit of the pond and for.
With easements in favor of the district.
But we have the easements, that is
Is it
correct.
maintained by the HOA or the sub-HOA?
Yes. Not by
And-
the
and,
district.
No, take time out, guys.
Sure.
You're talking too fast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
For me.
Let Bill
Yes,
finish.
answer this question.
No, you answered my question, I think, before I asked it, but.
Sorry.
Who owns the material that you put down after you put it down? Who owns it, the property owner?
In my opinion, it's the district and our easements under the various association documents for these drainage facilities.
And there's an
We
easement-
bought it, Bill. You and I bought those pipes.
Okay, and there's an easement between every house?
Yes.
For this?
Yes.
And some of them are pretty darn small. I mean, some of the.
Some are tight,
Some are very.
some are very big. Old Pelican is, generally speaking, is pretty tight. New Pelican is tight between the homes, but lengthy to the ponds.
And what obligation does the homeowner have to maintain or repair this after you put it down?
Okay, what we have gotten from every HOA, not homeowners, every HOA, is the affirmation that they will maintain it yearly if we install it. So we're not gonna come back to the CDD to clean these. That's the individual HOAs.
Does your covenants just call it basically secondary drainage to where they have the
I don't know,
requirement?
we got into that, we just.
I can't recall, if you recall, it started off with Trentino, is it Trentino?
Yeah, Trentino Estates.
Estates were the first community in Toscana. I think I looked way back
Yeah.
about a year and a half or so ago, and was comfortable with the various documents provided the district with requisite interest for drainage. And we had, as Mr. Gephardt indicated, agreement by the association to maintain them. If in the future, the associations fail to maintain them, the district can go in and then obviously increase the assessment levies on those properties.
And that's
to
what we would
maintain
have to
them.
do. Because now we've got a robust system in there, we don't wanna see it ever degrade. We've not tried to get a price for what it would take to clean it, but you could do it with high pressure water or with compressed air. But we know that the infrastructure we put in is robust. It allows itself to be cleaned.
4 inch or 6 inch?
Depending. We have 6-inch on the bigger buildings, 4-inch on the residential.
ADS.
But they're all double, yep, and we're all double wall pipe. Yeah, is it ADS? Yeah, okay.
And it's all backfill,
Yes, what's back though?
compacted.
Yes,
aggregate
yes.
backfill.
Everything is screwed. There's no, tighten and walk away, they're all screwed. I'd be happy to show anybody
I mean,
anytime they want to see.
clamped?
Nope, screws. Sheet metal screws are driven.
Oh, through the.
All the
the
connections and
connections.
joints.
Okay.
And some of the boxes are even concreted in place. In the Avila community, we concreted everything with the bubble ups, but in the other communities, we haven't. We're always exploring with what we think looks like a good idea.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Any questions here? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Stephen, thank
Can we
you.
take a break?
Yes. And then a request for a break, a 10-minute break. Okay, I think we have made it to approved utilities expenditure for district fire hydrants, 5B.
Good afternoon, Kenny Hall, utility manager. This is a expenditure for $70,000 for the 2018 capital improvement budget. This is to release the $70,000 for the district's fire hydrant repair and replacement and painting.
I motion to approve. It's in the budget.
Do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
Okay, discuss.
Does this include those hydrants that are down along Gateway Boulevard that we have found have some issues relative to restraints? That's included in this?
Yes.
Question, Madam Chairman.
Go right ahead.
It was less than a year ago that I was surprised to find out that we were responsible for fire hydrants. Although some of them been in the ground since, what, 68, 86, 86, I think. 1912.
Yeah.
It's the invention of fire.
I'm thinking, based on what we heard tonight, if I were in charge of everything, I think I'd move that $70,000 and try and clean some more piping instead of repairing fire hydrants. Please give me your professional opinion of that wild idea.
Why, to move the money into,
Cleaning the,
Sewer, sir?
sewer
No,
pipes
this is
that we heard.
This is an enterprise issue versus a
Yeah.
one account.
We
Two
can't.
total, we can't do
This,
this.
oh,
We
this
can't move
is,
enterprise
this
money
is-
into the
this
all
is-
one fund.
2018,
This is-
CIP?
this is an enterprise fund.
Yes, sir.
I withdraw
try,
my,
though.
I withdraw my question.
Good try. Good thinking, Bill. I like that. Thinking outside the box.
I know Martin would have caught it, Bill, I would have seconded it. Question?
I go right ahead. Oh, you said call the question. Sorry. Apologize. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You've got your fire hydrants.
Hopefully we don't need them.
Let's see, switching internet and phone provider to Century.
Steve?
Okay, so, a little bit of background, we had been meeting with Comcast and CenturyLink to, our IT company has recommended that all of our issues with the streaming and our firewall and things like that, which is also the reason for the camera, our internet's not enough here. He had recommended looking at fiber, so we reached out to them, also the phone system. The phones are pretty, we're getting a lot of static, having issues, they're constantly having to call back people. CenturyLink, they gave us a quote, and the phones were similar, but however, for them to provide us the faster internet, it was only, I believe, another $170 a month, compared to Comcast went $750 a month. So,
Are they
it kind
going
of.
in fiber optic?
Yes, it would be the fiber optics, it would be a voice over IP phone system. So, and it wouldn't be much more than what we're already paying now. The only issue is we have CenturyLink at the pool, Comcast at soccer, Comcast here, they all have different agreements. We would keep the agreement with Comcast at soccer, and if you noticed, a little summary of the cost, the bottom one, we have an agreement with Comcast here as well. And to cancel it, we could essentially just put our service down to nothing, as low as we could go, and then they require 75% of that to cancel it. So it'd be about $1,000, and actually be, I think, a little less, because we're at 10 months now, to cancel that. And they wouldn't be charging us any upfront cost, and CenturyLink only requires a 36-month agreement, Comcast requires 60.
Boy, hate giving somebody $1,000 just to cancel a contract.
Right. And with possibly fixing the live streaming issues and things like that, we could wait. The only thing is that kind of does put pressure on the phones are.
You're
it's
looking
kind
at
of
enough
customer
savings over
service side.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, and not to mention, if we do this and go to the fiber optics, our IT company he is able to let us self-host our email. Right now, for every computer in here, we pay like $17 a month for the Microsoft Office and the email. If we self-hosted it, which would require the higher internet, it would save about $4,000 a year in our computer operating
So,
costs.
that's why
There's
they
the
have the
answer.
net free.
There's the answer. Go ahead.
Did you go back to Comcast and tell them what CenturyLink said?
We did not, and I've done that with some of the other things we've done. And the reason I did not is because Comcast went down during the hurricane. CenturyLink was up. We would have had phones and everything during the hurricane. If we would have done this before the hurricane.
And Comcast's been really inconsistent in Gateway.
Yes.
Multiple neighborhoods. I know in Stony Brook, and my
CenturyLink
Comcast
went
is.
down too during hurricanes for some people.
Well, that
Okay.
may have, but the fiber optics all underground, that could be overhead things. Residents, that may have been different, however, it would have been up with the voice over IP and everything, and our IT company, he has CenturyLink, and he had
Yeah.
great things to say about it compared to Comcast, so.
I just think
But I
we
think
should go
it's
back to
partly because
Comcast
of-
and negotiate and see what they have to say before we end up paying $1,000, when we only have 10 months left of the contract.
But
Okay.
isn't there still
Now, if I go to Comcast and negotiate that, and if they were to match that price, that would require us doing a 5-year agreement, and which would be a little bit longer than CenturyLink, but also apparently their fiber optic service is not as good as CenturyLink, so,
But
I
after
mean.
3 years, CenturyLink could triple their price too, so either way,
If you would like, I could try it before.
that was just a suggestion.
I'm fine with making the motion to approve this.
Make it, and I'll second it.
Yep. I make the motion.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, what motion did you make, Doug?
To
Accept the
approve the,
recommendations of staff.
yeah, accept the recommendation of staff for the, to move forward with the CenturyLink.
And not give Comcast the chance to match or,
Yes. And the only reason why I say that is when I look at the savings and just by the own issues that I've seen with Comcast, in HOAs and personally, I just think CenturyLink's a better service.
Totally agree. Have the same problem.
Okay, any further discussion?
I'd like to move to amend that motion
Okay.
to instruct management to discuss with Comcast what we're seriously thinking about doing before we pull the plug.
I'll second that as
Amendment.
an amendment, I will, because there's no harm in making a phone call, because we'd still be approving going with CenturyLink.
That's
I
what you
won't go
want.
central anyways, I would like them to come back first with that, before we approve of it. Because that's still $1,000, and I can't see, if we have a contract, it's just a bad thing to buy out of a contract. It doesn't look good for us,
Well,
that's my personal opinion.
The amendment is to have the staff go to Comcast and tell them what we're thinking about doing before we pull the plug on it. And give Comcast a chance to match it.
But you're still gonna approve of this.
No.
If we want staff to go back.
Be
I mean, if-
dependent on.
if we're kind of torn here, we want we want staff to at least go back and say, hey, can you match this? And if they say yes, I think we still need to decide whether we want to go with Comcast or CenturyLink. But if you want to do the due diligence, I'm fine,
Let me ask this question. If Comcast were, by some miracle, to say, we'll match it for penny, dollar for dollar, what would your choice be? What would you recommend?
From what I've heard from a few others, CenturyLink.
so staff
It was
recommendation would
more-
still be CenturyLink. if
It was
apples
more
to apples.
reliable, yeah, it was more reliable. They were up, Comcast was down here, so, and I could see that being important. From what I've heard during the hurricane, it was tough not having the phones. It would have been beneficial, and it could play a loop and things like that, so.
And I know my CenturyLink landline at my house was down
Mhm.
during the hurricane.
Now, this is voice over IP.
Right.
And it would be through the fiber network, so that.
That could make the difference, but if, well, we were without power, that was.
We need to vote on the amendment.
I'll,
We voted
we want to go back.
on the second on the amendment.
I'll pull mine.
My only problem is just listening to them, if they come back and they match it, we're gonna stick, still go
Yeah,
with
we're-
CenturyLink, that's the
yeah,
recommendation.
But I'm willing to
Staff
go
side.
with, if,
I
you know,
don't-
I respect the other board members if they want, I mean, it's a reasonable recommendation for him to go back and see if they'll match.
So we're gonna delay it until the May 3rd meeting?
Does that pose any harm?
I don't think that's,
Okay.
creates any immediate issue.
Okay, thank you. We'll withdraw all of our motions?
No, you
since he's
should
going-
vote on the amendment.
You know, the new motion.
I made an
Right.
amendment,
and I
you seconded it,
and
we need
that-
to vote on the amendment.
That's only to authorize them to go and check
Yeah.
with Comcast.
Price match
That's
with
all.
Comcast.
Either way, I'd be coming back
I
to.
don't know that that even needs a motion.
Okay, all in favor of him going to Comcast?
Aye.
Aye.
Wait.
No one opposed? And you withdrew your motion in second, so
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about that one. Okay. Golf carts and signage.
Save the best for last, Mr. Mason.
Phil Measy, P-PAC. I'm gonna read my initial comments here just to make sure that I cover everything. First, I'd like to apologize to the supervisors for how long it's taken to bring the P-PAC proposal for the revision of the Pelican Reserve golf cart regulations for your approval. The process was delayed by our perhaps too ambitious attempt to encompass in our proposed revision a combination of all the golf cart regulations issued by both the CDD and the Pelican Preserve Community Association to try and simplify what we believe is a very confusing situation. This process was complicated by Mr. Pierce's very apt comments in his initial legal review that necessitated revisions in the proposal by the Safety and Security Work Group and discussion and reapproval of the revised proposal by the PPAC. But I accept responsibility for the delay. Second, I apologize for the multiple documents we provided in your meeting book to present as thoroughly as possible all aspects of this proposal. With due respect, I believe Mr. Pierce was a co-conspirator in this document overload situation.
So you're gonna
Guilty of that.
So you guys are gonna share the award for the largest paper kill?
Yes, my co-conspirator, yeah.
I would like to point out that the proposal the PPAC is presenting for your approval today includes safety recommendations concerning items not directly related to golf cart regulations that are also based on the traffic study by Johnson Engineering. These other recommendations are included on the one-page traffic regulations and signage recommendations document. This should have been included in your meeting book as the first document in this proposal after Mr. Shoemaker's summary, but due to some communication problems, it ended up mixed with all the other documents. As there are a lot of detailed recommendations in this proposal, I suggest that the board might want to take the following approach in its considerations. First, discuss the two traffic safety recommendations that do not involve golf cart regulations, as I believe these should be relatively non-controversial. Second, consider the proposal concerning where golf carts should be driven on the main roads in Pelican Preserves, as this is the proposed change in the regulations that is most controversial and requires city approval. Then, if the board accepts the proposal concerning where the golf carts should travel on the main roads, direct the PPAC and SSWG, the Safety and Security Work Group, to resolve other issues concerning the multiple changes to the rules being proposed with Mr. Pierce and the CDD staff, and return to the board at its next meeting with agreed upon document. There's an awful lot of little stuff in there that I think, I don't think you want to spend your time working through. That's my opinion.
Question for Phil. Is the combination of the summary of revisions and Exhibit A essentially what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. At the same time these matters are being settled, the staff can bring the proposal concerning where golf carts travel to the city for its approval. If the board accepts this suggested approach, the PPAC proposes that it approve the recommended Pelican Preserve Boulevard bridge signage and marking changes at a cost not to exceed $4,000. That's the first item. It also recommends that the board approve the Pelican Preserve Boulevard and Veneto intersection recommendations at the cost not to exceed $10,000. The SSWG will work with the CDD staff to obtain any necessary city approvals for the implementation of those two recommendations. With regard to the proposal that residents be directed to operate their golf carts in the right-hand vehicle lanes and that the 4-foot curb lane be restricted to bicycle use only, I would like to highlight the following. Effectively, there are not currently, nor have there been in the past, any rules that have been promulgated to Pelican Preserve residents concerning where golf carts should be operated on the main roads. There were no such rules included in the resolution passed by the board in 2009 designating Pelican Preserve as a golf cart community. And frankly, the board's December communication concerning this subject just created confusion within the community. Mr. Pierce has acknowledged that in the absence of any governmental statutes concerning this subject, and there are none, The board may, with the city's approval, apply to set what it considers appropriate rules for the operation of golf carts and bicycles on its roads. This position received further confirmation from my pen pal, Ms. Schaefer, who reported that a person at the Florida Sunshine Statutes Office told her that this is a legal issue that needs to be settled locally. Finally, as pointed out in the proposal, the PPAC and SSWG recognize that there is no right answer from a safety perspective for routing golf carts. It is also recognized that in some quarters of Pelican Preserve, this has become a somewhat emotional issue. The PPAC and SSWG have taken what they believe is an objective approach to developing a proposal that they unanimously agree strikes the best balance between golf cart safety and other traffic needs. The PPAC requests the board approve its proposal that the current 4-foot curb lanes on Pelican Preserve Boulevard and Cypress Grove Drive be designated as bicycle lanes, and that golf carts be directed to travel in the right-hand vehicle lanes except when making a left-hand turn. I'm prepared to answer any questions you may want to ask me about this proposal. Thank you.
Yeah, Phil.
Go
Sit
ahead.
down here. What a load. So you're gonna take the current lane, commit that to bicycles, take the cart over notwithstanding turns.
Right.
Which means now that all those vehicles, all those carts have to be street worthy.
Yeah, that's correct.
Street worthy.
Yeah.
This Exhibit A is essentially the rules that you're referring to.
Right.
They'll become the rules.
Yeah.
Those have to be approved by the city of Fort Myers.
No, just, the only thing that has to be approved by the city of Fort Myers
Use
is
the
that
lane.
one rule. That one rule,
To use the lane.
to use the lane.
Okay. What approvals do you have to get for that portion of PP not in the city of Fort Myers? Is that us?
I'm sorry, what?
Part of your city, or part of your community is not in the city,
that-
but it has roads and it has carts.
It's 100%.
It's 100%
Percent city. All of Pelican Preserve is in the city of Fort
In the
Myers.
city of Fort Myers.
It got.
That's right,
annexed
I'm
to
sorry.
That's right,
Marion.
you're
I'm
thinking,
thinking
you're
utilities.
thinking utilities.
Sorry,
You're
sorry.
thinking utilities.
Forget it, forget it.
It's 100% in the city.
Okay, that's basically the deal then.
That's right. And as I said, there are a whole bunch of smaller changes, and we can spend all afternoon going through those, and I suggest that we kind of settle that at the staff and district council level, and then bring it back to you for final approval.
I didn't have any other questions.
Did you have a question?
No, I mean, the fact there's not more people are from Pelican around this, either you've done your due diligence or they were busy.
Yeah, well, you know, as noted, this was unanimously approved by the people on the Safety and Security Work Group and the PPAC. I have not, you know, we haven't done a complete survey of Pelican Preserve to find out how people feel. There are certainly some people who would feel that this is not the right way to go. But my and everybody else's testing of the people in the community would indicate that the large majority would go along with this proposal.
Why did you go through all that detail, but get into the real personal deal of the colors? Why were you selective and prohibitive of certain colors? That, to me, seems like a very controversial deal.
Colors for what?
Well,
It says all carts must be white, beige, or equivalent, and all canopy tops beige or equivalent. So
That's
it
from
means-
the golf, that's
that's,
from the golf.
that's because of the golf situation.
But some people don't belong to the golf course though,
Well, that's correct.
but they would still have to meet
They
those
would
colors.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, yes.
And, go ahead, I'll let you, you have
I
I have a statement or two or three.
I probably do too, but I'll let you go first.
Hmm.
This is your community, I'll let you go first.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, Bill and his committee have done some remarkable things for Pelican Preserve over the years. And anything that I say, I don't want to take away from all the good they've done. but approximately 4 years ago,